Right. So in today's class, we'll be going with a simple demo on this course called Certified Ethical Hacking version 13. Okay. Before we do so, a quick formal introduction on my end, guys. My name is Mohammed Shoaib. I will be your cybersecurity trainer for the entire duration of this course. I've been working in this domain for the last 7 years. Again, I currently work as a senior penetration tester, and I've been training students since the last 5 years or so. Again, especially with DURGASOFT since the last 5 years at least. Okay. And yeah, again, the demo we are taking up today is for the course called Certified Ethical Hacking, which is the first step to, or the first course that people come across when they're planning on entering this domain of cybersecurity. It's built by an organization called EC Council, a globally recognized organization for trainings and certifications, especially in cybersecurity. Okay, and the first go-to course they have is Certified Ethical Hacking version 13. This is the latest version of the course running currently. Every few years, this version gets updated. There are newer tools, newer techniques added, and the older ones are redacted. Currently, the latest version released in 2025 is version 13. Okay. Now, let's get started with the demo by the explanation of what hacking is and what ethical hacking is and how they are different. Because a lot of students have a misconception that hacking and ethical hacking can be used interchangeably, which is a very wrong idea. Let's clarify on that. And please feel free to ask any questions at any certain point of time, guys. If you have any queries, do not hesitate to interrupt and ask your questions. Okay. Moving on. So to define hacking here, this is the procedure of trying to gain access to information systems. Now, what I mean by that phrase, gaining access to information systems, is if I were a hacker, and let's say if I've hacked your phone, it means I have complete control of your phone now. I can access the data on it. I can modify the data on it. I can exfiltrate the data on it, which means remotely send the data from your device to mine. Okay. And I can completely erase your data from your phone as well, or all the logs that I've performed in attack. All of this is basically hacking. I'm performing all of these operations without your permission and without your knowledge. And this can be replicated on any such device. I've taken the example of a mobile phone. It can be replicated on databases. It can be replicated on the cloud environment. It can be replicated on web servers, whatnot, or personal computers as well, or whatnot. Okay. And all of this is performed by hackers for their own benefit, or even sometimes just for fun. Okay. Now, if hacking is such an illegal activity or such a malicious task, why do we have a course called ethical hacking? And how is this getting ethical in the first place? To define ethical hacking, this is the procedure of trying to find the vulnerabilities. So this terminology called vulnerability is something that you will keep coming across a lot in the upcoming sessions. To define it, it's a loophole, it's a flaw in the security of the application or that device. And your job as an ethical hacker is to find these vulnerabilities or loopholes in the systems, because these vulnerabilities are what are exploited by the attackers, are what are taken advantage by the attackers to perform an attack. So your job in ethical hacking is to find these vulnerabilities before the hackers do and report it back to the organization so that they can apply the necessary security updates. And once these patches or security updates are applied, you're closing all the pathways for the hacker to cause any further harm. Okay. So with ethical hacking, basically you're trying to protect the organization from so-called cyber threats or from so-called cyber criminals. Okay. Now, depending on these two definitions of hackers and ethical hackers, we can categorize the types of hackers. There's someone known as a white hat hacker, a gray hat hacker, and a black hat hacker. Your black hat hackers are typical cyber criminals who perform hacking for their own benefit without asking for consent. On the other end of the spectrum, we have white hat hackers. Or on the other extreme, we have white hat hackers. These are the people who abide by the laws and policies of the organization, and they work for securing the organization's infrastructure. These are also commonly known as ethical hackers or cybersecurity professionals. And in between, there's a third mysterious category called gray hat hackers. Now, these people fall under both the category of black hat and white hat properties. Okay, like a black hat hacker, they don't ask for permission first, but once they find a vulnerability, they report it back to the company like a white hat hacker. But there's a minor catch here. They don't do this for free. They do it in return for a bounty. A bounty is like a financial reward they expect in return for reporting the vulnerability rather than misusing it. But currently, again, as mentioned, they still work both offensively and defensively at various stages. They're not following all the rules and regulations like a cyber professional, but they're still working for the betterment of the company in return for a small benefit, or a small financial benefit, especially. Okay. And no matter what category of hacker you take, cyber criminals or your freelance bug bounty hunters or your white hat cyber professionals, All of these people perform hacking or ethical hacking in a certain procedure. And our course, Certified Ethical Hacking's main agenda is to understand what that procedure is. Okay, so this procedure is called as cyber kill chain. Some organizations also refer to this as hacking cycle. It's one and the same. So to define it, it is the procedure that hackers follow in order to perform a successful cyber attack. And the knowledge of this procedure also allows cybersecurity professionals or ethical hackers to understand how these attacks are being performed, to detect these attacks at the earliest level possible or at the earliest stage possible, and prevent them at every level in the organization. Okay. So the procedure to attack or defend is very similar. Unless and until you know what kind of attacks are possible, you would not know how to defend against those attacks. Okay. So basically, this course is going to explain the exact procedure that hackers follow and the exact procedures that ethical hackers follow to both attack and defend the systems, respectively. Okay. And the cyber kill chain consists of 5 important steps in it. There's something called as information gathering, then there's scanning, then there's gaining access, then there's maintaining access, and then there's reporting or clearing traces. If you clearly observe, only the last step has 2 different terminologies, reporting or clearing traces. That is where it makes all the difference between a hacker and an ethical hacker. Okay. Other than that, the first 4 steps are exactly identical for any procedure. Okay. And now I'm going to briefly explain about each of these steps to have a better idea about the entire course, guys. Okay. So before we do so, any questions or doubts up to this point? Vashif or Rahul, any questions?
No.
Okay. Vashif, any questions on your end?
No, Mr. Muhammad.
Perfect. Moving on. So let's talk about each of these phases now so you have a better idea about the entire course content. Okay. So the first step we have here is information gathering. The main concept of information gathering, as again you can understand from the name itself, is to gather as much data or information as possible about your target organization. And an important point to note here is all of this information is obtained passively. What I mean by passively is you do not contact the organization in any way. You make no direct contact with them. You get all the information from other third-party sources, from other websites available on the internet. But the main question that arises here is what kind of data are we trying to look for, or what kind of information are we trying to research here? And this is the information as follows. So when you're performing a penetration test or a hack on an organization, the first thing you do is you try to obtain all these pieces of information. IP addresses, network blocks, whose records, DNS records, domains or subdomains of the organization, operating system information, what OS are they using on their servers, employee details, contact numbers of those employees, again, email addresses of those employees, usernames and passwords of those employees, which might have been leaked online in data breaches. So believe it or not, all of this information is readily available on the internet. The only thing is you need to know what those websites are from where you can obtain this information. Okay. So again, there's a lot of these websites that are very hidden and not known to the regular public or the regular people. Only cybersecurity professionals know this because this was built by the cybersecurity community itself to obtain information or open source intelligence from the internet. Okay. And once you know these websites and once you gather that information, it's very crucial to perform the upcoming stages of the attacks. Whatever data you get here, whatever IP addresses you obtain, whatever domains you obtain, whatever subdomains you obtain, or whatever piece of information is obtained here, that is utilized in the upcoming phases, which is scanning. So scanning is where you get some extra data, but by making active connections. So earlier we got the data passively. Here we obtain some extra information actively. Okay. What I mean by actively is whatever IP addresses you've obtained or whatever emails you've obtained or whatever domains you've obtained, you now make direct connections on those. You use certain tools in cybersecurity to attack those devices and obtain extra information from them. To understand what that extra information is, we can break down scanning in 3 parts. There's something called as network scanning, port scanning, and vulnerability scanning. In network scanning, we try to figure out in their internal organization what devices exist. So what is the again composition of their internal infrastructure? Okay, what routers are they using? What firewalls are they using? What intrusion detection systems are they using? What printers are they using? How many servers do they have in their internal network? How many client operating system devices do they have in their internal network? So getting their internal network topology is network scanning. Once you know what devices exist in their internal network, then you perform something called port scanning, figuring out on those devices what logical ports are open and what services or what applications are they running on their devices. And once you know what applications or services are running, finally we have vulnerability scanning, figuring out if any of these services or any of these applications are vulnerable or again exploitable in any way. During this module, we'll be working on two very important tools. One of them is called Nmap. If I go to my browser here, I can search for Nmap, a very popular tool, been there since 1997, a very old tool as well, but still used in the latest applications as its source code is completely open source. Anyone can run it in their internal other device tools as well. Okay. And the other alternative we have is Tenable Nessus. Now, this is not an open source tool. This is quite expensive actually. We use the same tool in our organization as well, and it's around $7,500. And that too, only for 1 year subscription again. Every year, the company needs to pay this amount of money to run the tool or to subscribe for this tool. And this tool is capable of generating an automated vulnerability report telling you on every single device what vulnerabilities or what misconfigurations exist. Okay, so it can give you the list of all loopholes on your system, which have to be verified by penetration testers. So this is used for automated vulnerability scanning to figure out what systems in your network or what again in your organization contain what loopholes. Can give you complete report, an advanced vulnerability scoring report from that. And that report is used in the upcoming phases. So we'll practically be working on the same exact tools which I'm mentioning here. These are the same tools used in the industry, and all the tools are completely hands-on. We'll be learning them hands-on in our network. Okay. Excuse me. Moving on, once you've performed scanning, once you know what devices exist and on those devices what vulnerabilities exist, next phase is nothing but gaining access. This is the phase where the real hacking occurs. So attackers use the vulnerabilities that were found from the earlier stages of a cyber skill chain now to attack a certain system or the entire network or certain applications in that network. Okay, so this is the main core of the subject, covers a vast variety of topics here, as you would notice. Again, most of these topics might seem a bit gibberish to you currently, but as we progress with our courses, again, our entire classes, you'll understand what each of these means. Okay, but just to give you a brief idea, the main agenda for this topic here is to attack every single endpoint. We talk about system hacking, where we learn how to crack or bypass Windows passwords. We talk about malware attacks, what categories of malwares exist, how do you create malwares, how do you defend your system from malwares, how do you detect malwares in your systems, what are the common network attacks, sniffing attack, man-in-the-middle attack, denial of service attack, hacking Wi-Fi routers. So how do you crack Wi-Fi passwords? How do you capture the data of other users in a network? Okay. Social engineering attacks. How do hackers perform phishing attacks? How do they clone websites? How do they clone login pages? Again, no matter what login page it be, whether it be a social media page, a bank login page, how do hackers create exact replicas and trick users into giving out their credentials? How do you hack web servers? How do you attack web applications or websites on the front end? How do you attack firewalls? Check for loopholes on firewalls. How do you attack mobile phones? How do you perform vulnerability assessment? So once you get a report from the vulnerability scanning tool, from a tool like Nessus, you can't just blindly trust that report. You have to assess that report. You have to verify each and every vulnerability in it by attacking on it. So that's called as vulnerability assessment. Okay. So all of these operations are some of the most commonly used techniques in real time in the hacking world or in organizations. Okay. So we talk about system security, network security, wireless security, web server security, web application security, firewall security, mobile phone security, and the entire internal network security as well. Okay. That's the main agenda of this topic, understanding how to attack each and every single endpoint and understanding how to defend each and every single endpoint as well, once you know what attacks are possible. Okay. Once this module is done, then you have the last two modules left out, which are maintaining access and reporting or clearing traces. Maintaining access is where once I've attacked your system, I need to maintain a persistent connection with that system, which means even if you restart your device, I should still be connected to you. That's what is called as maintaining access. That is one of the last phases that a hacker tries to achieve. Once he has this persistent connections, he can attack other devices from your network, or he can basically exfiltrate all the data from your network. Okay, so that is the main objective for the hacker. So after that, we are finally reporting or clearing traces. So as an ethical hacker, once you find these vulnerabilities and once you are able to exploit them and verify them, you generate a final report, a vulnerability scoring report for the organization, telling them what vulnerabilities exist, elaborating how dangerous those vulnerabilities are, what impact they pose for the organization, and also providing solutions to remove those vulnerabilities. On the other hand, if you're a black hat hacker, a cyber criminal, you don't report anything, obviously. You remove all, again, you perform all the attacks and then you remove all the evidence of those attacks. You delete the log files, you erase the evidence of your actions and hide your identity. So you're completely untraceable. And our entire course is going to revolve around these two tracks. Okay, we'll learn all the attacks possible from a black hat hacker's perspective, and then we'll learn how to defend against those attacks from a ethical hacker's perspective. Okay, so this is the entire agenda for the course Certified Ethical Hacking. And since not everyone is from a technical background, I've also included prerequisites. We talk about networking fundamentals, we talk about Linux commands, we talk about the lab setup installation, and then we get into the hacking cycle part. The entire course is for a duration of 45 days, where we have classes from Monday to Friday, every day for 1 hour each. Should be mostly at the same timing, guys, but the timing will be confirmed by the institute anyhow. Okay, so yeah, that's a brief intro on what the course is about. Now we can have a small Q&A session if you have any queries, guys. Rahul, Washif.
Mr. Muhammad, I have a small query.
Uh-huh.
When the grey hat hackers don't get bounty, do they harm the company generally? It's just a general question. Do they harm the company or they just leave it?
No, they definitely can, but there's a procedure to, again, get the bounty for a sure shot. So there's something called as bug bounty platforms. So if you go to your browser, there are websites like Bugcrowd, HackerOne, etc., etc. So these web pages are allowing hackers or penetration testers to find vulnerabilities and report it through these websites. Okay. Once it is reported, the company will verify that and will pay back the hacker. It is again monitored by this organization called Bugcrowd. So there's a short way where the hacker or the pen tester also doesn't get betrayed in any way. Okay. If he's getting betrayed, yeah, definitely they can misuse those vulnerabilities, but most of the times that doesn't happen. Okay, because they're doing it through a well-established platform already called a bug bounty platform. Is that clear, Washif?
Yeah, it's the same like that. Somehow we hear that somebody report the bug to the Google and Google pay them high amount, something
Exactly,
like that.
exactly. Those are bug bounty programs. Okay, again, applicable through the same websites itself, bug bounty platforms. Same thing.
Thanks a lot.
Right. Any other questions, Washif, Rahul?
No, thanks a lot.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, that's that, guys. Nothing further. As mentioned, every session of this will be recorded. You will be getting the recordings as well. You'll be getting these presentation documents as well, all the notes as well. Everything is already prepared, so you just need to refer those notes. Okay, you can just generate a rough notes while you listen to the class, but other than that, all these presentation slides, all these documents, all these recordings will be shared with you. Okay, and the course is priced at 8,000 rupees Indian currency, 8,000 INR. Okay, which you can pay in 1 or 2 installments, I suppose, but you can contact the institute for more information on that. For fees details, for course timing details, please contact the institute. For any cybersecurity related queries, you can let me know if you have any queries in this session or in the upcoming sessions, guys. As we progress with the classes, once you have registered, I'll be sharing my personal number as well. We'll be having a WhatsApp group. And in that WhatsApp group, I'll be sharing all the latest content as well as we progress. Okay. Again, if there's any job postings, if there's any, again, resume samples or whatever it be, the updated content, I'll be posting it in that WhatsApp group itself. Okay. So you'll be getting a lot of content while the course goes and then after the course ends as well. There's a continuous connection even after the course ends. You'll still have my contact. You'll be getting the latest updates regarding the courses or regarding any content that is, again, appropriate for cybersecurity. Okay. So yeah, that's that. Nothing further. We can exit the session here and we'll connect back tomorrow for the next class, which is networking fundamentals.
Mr. Muhammad, whom I have to contact for the payment?
The institute itself, DURGASOFT, I think they've mentioned in the chat box. If you have any concerns, kindly contact these numbers. You see, there's numbers in the chat box. Washif, 720-721-2427, or the next number, or the next number. They've mentioned all these numbers, right? You can contact them for the payment. I've dropped it in the chat box as well, the same message. I've forwarded it again. Do you see it in the chat box, Washif, Rahul?
Yeah.
Please make a copy of that text, guys. And if you have any queries regarding any fee payment or any course timing or anything, you can contact me. Okay. And once you have registered, I'll share my contact number as well. And for any other queries regarding cybersecurity, you can contact me directly after the registration. Okay. So yeah, that's that. Nothing further for the session today. Rahul, any questions on your end? Any
No,
questions?
thank you.
Perfect. So yeah, that's it. We can exit the session here, guys. We'll connect back tomorrow at the same time.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Bye bye.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Mohammed. Thanks a lot.